What does your checklist look like? Do you have a fair number of people to carry around? Quite a lot of stuff? Do you want an SUV that doesn't look like everything else on the road today? And do you hate the high price of gas? Well, this might be the vehicle for you. It's the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. Get in. This is Family Wheels. There's been a change of late in the Hyundai and Kia family, and that is toward more boxy styling. I like it. It really differentiates the brands from their rivals. And in the case of the Santa Fe, makes it appear to be higher priced, if you will, sort of a classier look. Also makes it look bigger than it really is. In Canada, there's just one trim of the Santa Fe Hybrid. However, there is a $4,000 package that kind of gives you almost everything in addition to that. So let's call that really de facto a second trim. Most manufacturers list fewer trims in Canada than the US because the Canadian market is much smaller, but the features gap on the Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid is really big. Some examples. All three US trims, SEL, Limited, and Calligraphy, have the option of light gray cabin materials at no extra cost. They really brighten the interior. Ventilated seats come with the top two U.S. trims, but aren't offered in Canada. The Calligraphy has Napa leather seats, and the fronts turn into a kind of recliner chair for napping at a rest stop. It and the Limited can park themselves. Second-row heated seats and captain's chairs are also available, and up to 11 exterior colors are available to U.S. buyers, just 5 in Canada. It is all about fuel consumption, and in that regard, the Hybrid beats its sibling just hands down. The Hybrid uses 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers in city driving, 6.9 on the highway. The city figure is 44% less than the 12.1 liters per 100 of the non-hybrid Santa Fe. Even its consumption in highway driving, where hybrids do less well, is still 22% lower than the ICE version. The comparison is partly due to the thirstiness of the 2.5 liter 4 in the non-hybrid version. It's a fine engine. However, it is really thirsty. Frankly, I was a little alarmed to see that the engine is only 1.6 liters in capacity, 4-cylinder turbo. However, it turns out that it has only 6 fewer horsepower than the non-hybrid version. So there's that in its favor. It has 40 fewer pound-feet of torque, however, and that is a disadvantage, especially when it comes to towing. So the towing capacity on the Hybrid is much less. There are 3 rows of seats, and yes, the third row here does have an air conditioning control and a couple of USB outlets, but it's mighty cramped back there unless the second row moves forward. If you want something larger, you can move one step higher to the Hyundai Palisade. Although less lovely than the US-only light gray interior, our review Santa Fe is still a well-designed, comfortable environment, especially with the Trend package. But all versions have lots of screen space, and although most of its HVAC controls are touch-activated, they're logical and not a distraction from driving, and the paddles control regeneration. There's space for 2 phones on the console, one with a charging pad, plus a purse bin underneath. A clever design that's easy to overlook is the 2 glove compartments, plus an open shelf between them. The Santa Fe is all-wheel drive, but like so many vehicles that say they're all-wheel drive these days, it's kind of up to the computer. For instance, in the eco or sport modes, it's heavily biased toward front-wheel drive. It's more economical that way as well. However, if you switch into the terrain submenus, you can select snow, mud, or sand. Change to mud or sand, and you actually do get 50-50 at least from when you pull away, hit the throttle, you get up to speed, you still get a little more rear torque than on the other modes. So I'm going to check the handling on the Santa Fe twice through the same right, left, right section. First of all, with the mostly front-wheel drive setting. as I pulled out of the last turn and gave it some throttle, it started to understeer more noticeably. Not alarmingly, but definitely nose heavy at that point. Now let's go back through those same curves in sand mode, which gives us 50-50 front and rear wheel drive. You know, right away it feels more sure-footed. Being as large as it is, the Santa Fe easily passes our family wheels child seat test. Behind me, the kind that takes up the most room, rear facing. Up front, I've got a decent amount of room between my knees and the glove box door. Now, there's a lot of adjustability involved here because the second row of seats can slide back and forth. So you can make even more room back there if you need it for, say, a tallish person like myself in the front. Of course, the farther back you slide that second row of seats, the less room there is in the third row. Right now, there's just enough room behind the child seat in the third row for a child. I've readjusted the front passenger seat to provide a lot more room for me. Yet here in the second row, well, I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, 180 centimeters, and yet there's still plenty of room for an adult passenger in the second row. A USB-C port panoramic moonroof, by the way, seems to be of greater benefit for the third row than the second, but there it is. And a very clever use of storage. There's a rear release for the front bin. And yet, people up front get their own. It's double hinged. Very clever. Plus, there is a bin underneath. I'm impressed with the Hyundai Santa Fe's looks, its fuel economy, and a lot more. But what do you think? Leave a comment. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing. I'm Richard Detman, and I'll see you next time on Family Wheels.